Good morning everyone and welcome to my morning report analysis videos on Tuesday the 7th of August with me, Richard Berry, market analyst at Hantec Markets. We've got a relatively benign open in terms of the forex markets. There's been a slightly move against the dollar in the last 12 hours or so. We saw all multi-month highs on the dollar index yesterday, closing highs I should say, multi-month closing high on the dollar index dating back to uh, July 2017. So we saw that move, but the market's just come back a touch today, and that retreat on the dollar index has come as the Chinese yuan has started to sort of pull back a touch in terms of its strength. In terms of the yuan has been weak for months really, just sort of pulling a little bit of a recovery overnight. And what we've seen is the dollar has been moving around with the yuan, interestingly, in the last week or so, as treasury yields have basically gone pretty much nowhere. Actually, treasury yields fell again yesterday for a second day, and even then we saw the dollar strengthening. So the fact that the yuan has started to sort of claw back a little bit of lost ground today is sort of helping to stabilise markets against the dollar. Certainly the majors are all sort of outperforming the dollar. The dollar is weaker against euro, against sterling, against yen, and also the commodity currencies as well, and the Swissy. So that's happened, and we've had the Chinese forex reserves today, and they've come in slightly ahead or better than expectations. So again, that sort of plays into that support for currencies against, or certainly the yuan against the dollar, and then that sort of subsequently sort of starts to play out as a better performance for the majors. What we have also got is the Aussie, which is outperforming. We had the RBA today, no change on rates, but the market's taking the positives out of the expectations of where CPI is moving, which is sort of slightly lower than expected, but ultimately they're also going for growth data to be above 3% for the next couple of years. So the market's taking the positives out of that and seeing the Aussie outperform today. We're also seeing strength through the equity markets in Europe today. DAX now well above 12,700. This is coming after the S&P 500 broke to multi-month highs again yesterday, highest since January on the S&P 500, and that's certainly helping with the futures. Also positive today. That's helping the European markets move strongly. But yeah, there's an interesting move that we're seeing with the dollar weakness and US equities pulling higher. So what about today? Well, there's not a great deal today. Apart from the JOLTS jobs openings, which is this afternoon at 3 o'clock, 6.64, again in line with the last month. So nothing too serious to get you sort of too interested in market moves from that data. Now we've got the chart today, which is silver. Now I've been looking at silver because silver's I think interesting because gold has been tracking lower within this downtrend. Gold is still holding on to this downtrend, but silver's broken that downtrend in the consolidation. But what we have seen in recent months are these consolidations with following on from the breakdown below 1616, that became base of resistance, and the breakdown below 1557, that's become resistance. So we're looking at this market which is sort of struggling to reclaim the lost support. Now, as I said, 1557 is that basis of old support that becomes new resistance. You look at these momentum indicators, is there anything to suggest that this market is about to turn around? Well, maybe on the MACD lines, but you need to see the RSI above sort of 45 area. I mean, 42, 43 was where it sort of has been limited in throughout July, but if you saw it above 45, then you might be seeing a bit of traction. MACD lines have already ticked higher. Stochastics similarly, they need to get above 40, so it's not a million miles away from possibly a bit of a turnaround signal on those momentum indicators. We've had a strong candle that's building today, over 1% higher on silver today, leaving the support at 15.21, which is a slightly higher low above 15.13. You can see the hourly chart where the market has sort of rallied a bit, but it's still fairly neutral, isn't it? It's not really doing a great deal on the hourly chart, but it's still taking on a more of a neutral configuration on the hourly RSI and MACD lines. So the support is holding for now, but we need to see the market silver above that 21-day moving average, which is currently 15.52. And as I said, the RSI above 45, so you sort of could be close to a bit of a near-term trigger signal on the momentum indicators, but nothing too decisive yet. Above 15.57 would, certainly on a closing basis, would complete a small base pattern and sort of break you higher, and then you'd start to target maybe 30 cents, a couple of percent higher, back towards that. Potentially even unwinding back towards 16.16 again. So it would be an interesting recovery if that was to be seen. But just for now, this rebound needs to get through that resistance at 15.57 to really suggest that there is something in a recovery. But nothing quite yet. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I'll speak to you later.